Lake Arrowhead, California, has been a popular vacation spot for decades. Its setting promises plenty of fresh air and sunny days. But it was hardly the sun that once attracted some rather shady characters. For them, Lake Arrowhead was the perfect front.
When I first found the property, everyone I talked to in this neighborhood kept referring to this building as the old brothel that's haunted. And I kept saying, haunted, what do you mean? Oh, well, somebody died there. That's what I would hear. Someone died there.
Today's Brackenfern Manor is a charming inn with a troubled past.
The hair on my arm raises up, and I want to flee. You want to escape. You just want to leave that spot.
In the 1930s, the property was an exclusive hideaway for the wealthy, known as Club Arrowhead.
There was a swimming pool. They had horseback riding, tennis courts, barbecues. It was really the place to come.
But this wholesome facade had been specifically designed to hide a foundation of crime and vice.
This area was originally bought by the gangsters with money from Chicago.
The club was conceived by the famous mobster Bugsy Siegel.
They thought he was pretty crazy to want a gambling resort so far away from Los Angeles and Hollywood, but that was his point, is that during Prohibition that anything could be done up here.
Drinking and gambling were not the only illegal indulgences.
These gals that came up here that lived upstairs and entertained the clients didn't start out that way. These were not bad girls, but they were probably having a hard time during the Depression, and so they became working girls.
Some visitors feel the presence of unsettled souls, holdovers from the hotel's dark days as a brothel. Their stories often include one such lost spirit named Violet.
I know that she has problems with men, and I think that has to do with her having been kept waiting.
Violet was a girl who never liked waiting. Young and naive, she traveled to Club Arrowhead, seduced by thoughts of glamour and stardom.
After all, people were being discovered that were ordinary people in the film industry, and they came up here to rub shoulders with the rich and famous.
But fairy tale endings were not the fate of girls lured here to the paradise in the pines.
They would end up getting stuck here because there was really nothing for them to do. And so the only thing that could keep them here and provide some sort of living was becoming a prostitute.
Although forced to accept her new lot in life, Violet continued to dream.
There was a similar young man who was also new to the bosses and the group up here. He used to hang out over here with the girls. He hadn't quite proven himself to the bosses yet.
For Violet, the young man was the answer to her prayers.
She fell in love with him, and over a period of time, they conspired up a plan with the help of the other girls to smuggle her off the mountain so that they could go and elope.
The affair was doomed from the start.
The bosses found out about it. Someone squealed somewhere along the way. And they had him taken care of.
Violet never found out what had happened to her young man.
They never told her anything, never told anyone what happened to him. She thought he just left her high and dry and was brokenhearted, refused to work, and spent a lot of time walking the halls and looking out the windows waiting for him to come back.
After weeks of waiting for a love who would not return, Violet took her own life. She was never again to leave the sight of her gilded prison.
Even today, we still hear the footsteps, and the guests still tell me about hearing a young lady who's still waiting for him to come back.
Violet roams the hallways and rooms of the Brackenfern Manor, trailing a namesake fragrance.
I would hear creaking and footsteps, and I could enter a room and smell that old-fashioned violet perfume. And I would go down the hall, and it would just waft in the air when there was no one had been here for several days.
Though self-willed as ever, it seems Violet remains a prisoner.
I think she's still in a way waiting